Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopidana Ballabha Girivadhanthari Jaya Gopidana Ballabha Girivadhanthari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Gopidana Vallabha Girivadhanthari Jai Gopidana Vallabha Girivadhanthari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Radha Madhava Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaur Pimanande Dai Mishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Hila Boy Chara Naravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Hari Nama Sankirtana Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Daini Thai Gaur Pimananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sri Rupam Sakradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Tamasloke
Bhagavate Tamasloke
Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and a loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Idam Bhagavata Nama
Puranam Brahma Samitam
Puranam Brahmasamitam
Uttama Sloka Charitam
Uttama Sloka Charitam
Sakara Bhagavan Rishi
Sakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nisreyasaya Lokasya
Visreshe Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat.
Dhayanam Swastate Namaha.
The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Granthara, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda
Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Om Asarabhyay Namaha
Om Asurabhyaya Namaha
Om Asarabhyay Namaha
Om Asurabhyaya Namaha
Om Asarabhyay Namaha
Om Asurabhyaya Namaha
Mukam karoti vasanam pangum langayate grim Yatkripat Mahabandhe Sri Gurum Dinathardanam Yatkripat Mahabandhe Sri Gurum Dinathardanam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome everyone to our morning Bhagavatam class. We are reading from Canto number 1, chapter 11, entitled Lord Krishna's Entrance into Dvārakā. And today we're reading number 27. Yes. Sita Tapatra Vyajanair Upaskritaha Prasuna Varshair Abhivarshitaha Pathi Pishanga Vasa Vana Malaya Babao Ghano Yatar Kodupa Chapa Vaidyutai Sita Tapatra Vyajanair Upaskritaha Prasuna Varshair Abhivarshita Pathi Tishangavasa Vanamalaya Babhau Ghano Yatar Kodupa Chapa Vadyutai Ghano yatar kopdupa chapavaidyutai.
Gano yatar kodupa chapa vaidhutai.
Sita tapatra vyajanairupaskritaha.
Sitapatra vajanairupaskrita.
Rasuna varshair abhivarshita pathi.
Rasuna vasair abhivarshita pati.
Vishangavasa vanamalaya babhau.
Sangavasa vanamalaya babhau.
Ghano yathar kodupa chapavaidyutai.
Gano yatar kodupa chapa vaidhutai.
Sita tapatra vyajanairupaskritaha.
Sitapatra vajanairupaskrita.
Rasuna varshair abhivarshita pathi.
Rasuna vasair abhivarshita pati.
Vishangavasa vanamalaya babhau.
Visangavasa vanamalaya babhau.
Ghano yathar kodupa chapavaidyutai.
Gano yathar kodupa chapa vaidhutai.
Sita tapatra vyajanair upaskrita.
Sita tapatra vyajanairupaskritaha.
Rasuna varshair abhivarshita pati.
Rasuna varshair abhivarshita pathi.
Sangavasa vanamalaya bhabau.
Vishangavasa vanamalaya babhau.
Gano yatarko dupa chapa vaidhyutai.
Ghano yathar kodupa chapavaidyutai.
Sita tapatra vyajanair upaskrita.
Sita tapatra vyajanairupaskritaha.
Rasuna varshair abhivarshita pati.
Rasuna varshair abhivarshita pathi.
Sangavasa vanamalaya babhu.
Prisangavasa vanamalaya babhau.
Gano yathar kodupa chapa vaidhutai.
Ghano yathar kodupa chapavaidyutai. Sita tapatra vyajanairupaskritaha. Prasuna varsair abhivarshita pathi. Prisangavasa vanamalaya babhau. Ghano yathar kodupa chapavaidyutai. Sita tapatra vyajanairupaskritaha. Rasuna varshair abhivarshita pathi. Vishangavasa vanamalaya babhau. Ghano yathar kodupa chapavaidyutai. Ladies.
Sita patra vajanairupaskrita.
Sita tapatra vyajanairupaskritaha.
Prasuna varshair abhivarshita pati.
Rasuna varshair abhivarshita pathi.
Visangavasa vanamalaya babau.
Visangavasa vanamalaya babhau.
Gano yatarko dupa chapa vaidhyutai.
Ghano yathar kodupa chapavaidyutai. Sita attapatra.
Sitapatra
White umbrella.
white umbrella.
Vyajanai.
Vajanai
With a chamara fan. Upaskritaha.
Upaskritaha
Being served by.
being served by.
Prasuna.
Prasuna
Flowers.
flowers.
Varshai.
Varshai
By the showers.
by the showers.
Abhivarshitaha.
Avivarshitaha
Thus being covered.
thus being covered.
Pathi.
Pati
On the road.
on the road.
Vishangavasa,
Visangavasa,
by the yellow garments,
by the yellow garments,
Vanamalaya,
Vanamalaya,
by the flower garlands,
by the flower garlands,
Babao.
Babao.
Thus it became
Thus it became
Ghanaha,
Ghanaha,
cloud,
cloud,
Yatha,
Yatha,
as if
as if
Arka,
Arka,
the sun,
the sun,
Udupa,
Udapa,
the moon,
the moon,
Chapa,
Chapa,
the rainbow,
the rainbow,
Vaidyutai,
Vedutai,
by the lightning.
by the lightning.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Sri Prabhupada ki.
Jai Prabhupada ki Jai.
As the Lord passed along the public road of Dvārakā, his head was protected from the sunshine by a white umbrella. White feathered fans moved in semicircles, and showers of flowers fell upon the road. His yellow garments and garlands of flowers made it appear as if a dark cloud were surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lightning, and rainbows. Kind of repeat after me. As the Lord passed along
As the Lord passed along
the public road of Dvārakā,
the public road of Dvārakā,
his head was protected
his head was protected
from the sunshine
from the sunshine
by a white umbrella.
by a white umbrella.
White feathered fans
White feather fans
moved in semicircles,
move in semicircles,
and showers of flowers
and showers of flowers
fell upon the road.
fell upon the road.
His yellow garments
His yellow garments
and garlands of flowers
and garlands of flowers
made it appear
made it appear
as if a
as
dark
if
cloud
as if a dark cloud
were surrounded simultaneously
was surrounded simultaneously
by sun,
by sun,
moon,
moon,
lightning,
lightning,
and rainbows.
rainbows,
Not rainbow, but rainbows.
rainbows.
Purport. The sun, moon, rainbow, and lightning do not appear in the sky simultaneously. When there is sun, the moonlight becomes insignificant. And if there are clouds and a rainbow, there is no manifestation of lightning. The Lord's bodily hue is just like a new monsoon cloud. He is compared herein to the cloud. The white umbrella over his head is compared to the sun. The movement of the bunch hair fan of flukes. Bunch hair fan of flukes. What's bunch hair fan of flukes? Flukes? What's flukes?
Flukes, the flukes of nature, the
Flukes of nature.
c'est quelque chose qui est pas ordinaire.
Quelque chose qui est pas ordinaire.
Something awkward.
You mean awkward?
What's the
Well,
sentence again?
Flux.
I think it's talking about the fanning, the movement of the bunch hair fan of flukes. Flukes connected, you know,
Oh, it's probably
chamra.
yeah, it's probably a type of
Huh?
well, there's also kind of a you know, it's white feathers.
Oh,
Fluke.
I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah, like it's in Vedic time, some of the fan was just like a bunch of feathers, white feathers, like swan feathers.
Can somebody look it up in the dictionary?
And they're not
Flukes.
like a peacock fan, they're like floppy.
Therefore, making wind.
Yeah, but the word flukes is rare. Not we don't hear it so much.
An unexpected stroke of good luck.
An unexpected
Stroke of good luck.
stroke of good luck.
Fluke, but there's not a second definition
They must.
for a bird.
I thought it was those grasses that grow in the field. You see, they're beautiful.
Grasses that grow in the field. How good are we at speculating here? I mean,
What's the spelling, huh?
Flukes, flukes. You know, we say c'est la fluke en français. Fluke means like chance, or maybe it's just like this keep going here and there. Anyways, the movement of the bunch hair fan of flukes is compared to the moon. The showers of flowers are compared to the stars. His yellow garments are compared to the rainbow. So all these activities of the firmament being impossible simultaneous factors cannot be adjusted by comparison. The adjustment is possible only when we think of the inconceivable potency of the Lord. The Lord is all powerful, and His presence, and in His presence, anything impossible can be made possible by His inconceivable energy. But the situation created at the time of His passing on the roads of Dvārakā was beautiful and could not be compared to anything besides the description of natural phenomena. Translation again. As the Lord passed along the public road of Dvārakā, His head was protected from the sunshine by a white umbrella. White feathered fans moved in semicircles, and showers of flowers fell upon the road. His yellow garments and garlands of flowers made it appear as if a dark cloud were surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lightning, and rainbows. We have to take a few seconds to just imagine the scene, actually. It's nicely described. The Lord's entrance into Dvārakā. We've seen in previous descriptions how every single home was nicely decorated. Water pots were there. Just like in our temples, whenever we have festival, or when we go to a place like Indonesia, Bali, for example, which is, even without any festival, is very attractive, is always decorated, because constantly they have all kinds of champaka flowers, all kinds of, by nature. Here, of course, Prabhupada at the end, he mentions how this arrangement, the Lord's being fanned, and an umbrella, a white umbrella over his head, protecting him from the sunshine. His being decorated with all kinds of flowers And there must have been all kinds of different colors of flowers. And his yellow garment, it was a scene that was beyond natural phenomena. It was, in other words, extraordinary. And as Prabhupada nicely explains, this kind of combination you just don't see in nature. It is extraordinary. It's a little bit like Prabhupada describes also, or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu are like the simultaneous rising of the sun and the moon. It never happens. You know, you never see the sun and the moon rising at the same time, right? You can see the sun rising and the sun setting. I mean, or vice versa. But in other words, the Lord, only by his inconceivable arrangement, only by his inconceivable energy can make the impossible become possible. And of course, I think we all remember, we will not relate it, but this statement that Prabhupada had made when his dear servant Rameshwar Prabhu had mentioned Prabhupada, because Prabhupada had requested that, I think I'll mention it briefly because it's for those who haven't heard it. It was one of those, I guess, famous morning walks. Prabhupada would go every day on morning walk pretty well. I think it was in Los Angeles. And then Prabhupada was just translating, you know, and there were a lot of books that were yet to be printed or published. And Prabhupada was getting a little annoyed that, you know, so many devotees are helping, but you're slow. Prabhupada was always quite fast. I mean, he was fast in walking in the morning walks. And he was, I mean, Prabhupada was, you know, we were speaking about enthusiasm the other day. Well, Prabhupada was super enthusiastic. And so he wanted his books printed and translated and whatnot more quickly. So there was that conversation. In the morning walk, Prabhupada would sometimes talk about, you know, so many different things. And then this devotee, Rameshwar Prabhu, he was in charge of printing books in Los Angeles. Los Angeles was the place where the books were being printed. And the whole, you know, team of devotees were involved in so many ways. And then Prabhupada was asking, okay, well, you know, the devotees had requested Prabhupada to translate the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He had taken time out, actually, especially to translate Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he did it in a, you know, relatively fast, quick period of time. So there was all these books that were pending, you know, to be printed. And then he was asking the devotees, how long does it take, you know, to print one book? And then Rameshwar Prabhu was in charge with, you know, along with another devotee assisting, I forget his name, was telling one book takes maybe like 2 months. Okay. And how many books, Chaitanya Charitamrita, how many books it will come out? Maybe like 17 books. 17 books. Okay, 17 books times 2, what? 34 months. 34 months, you know, 12 months in a year, 24, 3
years.
3 years, yeah. Okay, so then Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, okay, I want my the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita printed in 2 months.
In
Not
1 year.
2 months.
2 months.
2 months. 2 months or 3 months, something like that. And then the famous remark of Rameshwar Prabhu, that's impossible. Prabhupada looked at him and said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. Impossible is never impossible for Krishna and for Krishna's devotees. So Rameshwar went with his assistant, in the back of the line. Prabhupada continued, and he said, and he was thinking, Prabhupada said, we have to do this. Is it possible? I mean, how can we do this? Anyways, they came up with a plan. Then they caught up with the devotees on the morning walk, and then they had come out within that short time. Rameshwar is a very intelligent person, actually, and very surrendered to Prabhupada also. He had to be surrendered. And then he said, Prabhupada, we will do it, but we need a few things from you, that we need to have a few more persons, and then we need to be able to consult with you, because there are different things that always need some clarification. And then those devotees, I was not there, but it must have been a heavy 2 or 3 month period. They actually, they were going on, I mean, some of the devotees who related that whole Leela of actually being involved in editing, in translating, in doing whatever was necessary, they don't even remember, taking prasadam. It was like 24. And Rameshwar was right in the middle of that, orchestrating the whole thing. So he was remembering, in those days, artists are like special people. They're very attached to their, whatever they do, whether they're musicians or painters. So in this case, it was like that so many devotees were very good artists. And Rameshwar was relating how, he had them, he was giving them each, because they had to paint original paintings, so many different pastimes to be put in all of these 17 books, right? Each book, maybe, I don't know, had 10 pictures. So 10 times 17, 170 paintings that had to be done within, So it was like a chain kind of activity. So Rameshwar Prabhu was relating how sometimes he would be checking the different artists who were painting, and when some of them would fall asleep because they were going around the clock, he would take their painting without them knowing and have it transferred to somebody else to continue doing it, because they would do it like together. It was a combined kind of effort. Normally somebody does a painting himself and he completes it, but so in other words, you really could not be attached to your particular painting. So what seemed to be impossible actually became possible. Within that period of time, the devotees actually translated, printed, edited, whatever it was necessary, and they came out with these 17 volumes of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, Madhya-lila, and Ancha-lila. So actually, for devotees, this is a very important aspect, which is being made here by Srila Prabhupada. And for the devotees in the early days, especially, and some of the devotees in the early days are here, when Prabhupada's whole mood, it was intense beyond comparison, really, isn't it? I mean, to be just to be in the movement at that time, what to speak of being in the presence of Prabhupada? What to speak of being where Prabhupada was. The whole mood actually in the society during those were unique years, obviously. Prabhupada physically being present, And whenever he would go anywhere in a temple visiting, and he was traveling quite extensively, what was already an intense situation because everyone was tuned in to where is Prabhupada, what is Prabhupada doing, what's the latest lecture, all of these things, right? What's the latest book? Because everything was just new, always happening, constantly unfolding. And the mood and the mentality in those days was that we're taking over the world. We are taking over the world. That's the mission, right? The mission is Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is to introduce the holy name and to make the whole world Krishna conscious. And Prabhupada, by his intensity and by everything about him, actually, he actually, as we know, as we can see, the effects are there and are continuing to be there, is actually, by going to New York. Yesterday I was I was attending a very special kind of reunion. You were not there?
When? No.
Oh, God.
A reunion of Prabhupada disciples?
Yeah.
What year?
What year?
When?
Yesterday.
When?
Yesterday.
In the next 2 days.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Somebody didn't invite you or something.
Oh, you mean for the, yes.
Yeah.
I knew about it, but
Okay, anyways.
we couldn't. My mother was not well.
We got a cupcake.
Okay, no problem.
We got a cupcake.
Okay, anyway.
Oh, they made it like a multimedia, so Prabhupada disciples from all around the world could meet. Or did you see this in New York?
You see, whenever Prabhupada disciples meet, it's a multimedia anyways. We're sitting here, it's multimedia in the sense that we have people from all over the place. Coming back to the point I wanted to make, I wanted to make a point. The point being that, different devotees were sharing different things because most of the devotees who were there actually joined before I joined, 1970, 71, 70. I joined in 74, which is considered late in one sense.
I was never really in a temple where Prabhupada was there for a long time. But
You were
I
in-
remember in New Vrindavan, at one point, I was ashram teacher from Monday to Friday.
Uh-huh.
And then I would go out on Sankirtan Friday night or Saturday morning for the weekend.
For the weekends.
For the weekend. Come back at 11 or 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday night. Wake up my girls at 3:30
Uh-huh.
to go to Mangalarti.
Right.
And then in the summer, we were working on Prabhupada's palace. So
Right.
in the evening during the week, I would go to Prabhupada's palace to do the gold leafing.
The gold, yes, please, yeah.
Or during the day, if I had any time at all, I was told I had to go to Prabhupada's palace and gold leaf.
Uh-huh.
So even when Prabhupada wasn't there, that was
Intense.
That was the mood.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it was all
wonderful.
pervading. So just to share something that happened yesterday. I mean, can I?
I wasn't there.
This gives you an idea. There was a natural kind of competition, and really, I mean, the intensity was not only in Srila Prabhupada. When you come in contact with somebody who's intense, you tend to become intense. Or if somebody is passionate or enthusiastic, you tend to become enthusiastic. Okay, my point. I'm coming to my point. So, one devotee was sharing his little. I mean, there's so many things that devotees were sharing. He was telling one time when Prabhupada was in Mayapur, Those early days, mostly devotees who were in Mayapur were foreigners, practically none from India. I mean, very few, very few. I think majority of devotees were foreigners, because Prabhupada had requested his EBC men 2 years in a row. I need men in India, So anyways, when Prabhupada was here, one devotee who was staying in Mayapur, he went, somehow he was having darśana of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada asked him, where are you from? And he says, oh, I'm from New York. And then Prabhupada responded, New York! Like very enthusiastically. And then he started talking about the glories of New York for half an hour, because Prabhupada started his movement in New York. Then another devotee, Pancharatna Prabhu, responded afterwards. He said, well, I have something to say about New York. He's from New York also. So he was telling, one time a devotee asked, or kind of happened to mention, yes, Mayapur is the most important place in the world. Or maybe he asked, what is the most important place in the world? Mayapur? Prabhupada said, no. The most important place in the world is New York. Because that's where Krishna consciousness, Lord Chaitanya appeared here in Mayapur, but actually Lord Chaitanya appeared again by Prabhupada's mercy in New York. Yeah. And so New York, Prabhupada said, if people in New York or people in America become Krishna conscious, the whole world will become Krishna conscious. Of course, he also said it's the responsibility of the Indian people, to change the whole world. So it's like, Bharat Bhumite Hoila, that verse. So it's like there was and still is now even the competition as to how the world is meant to be changed. So Prabhupada was, by what he was doing, especially at that time, and even now, as the saying goes, for those who have the eyes to see, for those who have the eyes to see, Mahaprabhu's movement, Srila Prabhupada's movement, in inconceivable ways, in ways that are not known to the vast, what is taking place every day in the world in terms of Krishna consciousness? How much do we know? Practically nothing. We don't know how miracles are actually taking place every single moment, practically. When we have devotees, it's like every day, like I'm giving a Bhagavatam class here. Somebody else somewhere, if somebody was to calculate how many Bhagavatam classes are being given every day by devotees, isn't it? How many Bhagavatam classes are available online?
Yeah. SrimadBhagavatamclasses.com. Select 10 different great devotees.
Yeah.
For each verse.
It's like, when you fly in an airplane, they have so many choices of movies that devotees are not supposed to look at. But one time Prabhupada was in an airplane. Devotees in the early days, right? Knew that, Maya is there and whatnot. So one devotee was flying with Prabhupada. And, in those days, there was like one screen. and he was very much guarding himself not to look at the screen. Can't look at movies. Can't look at movies. But then he was sitting right by Srila Prabhupada. And then he started to notice that Prabhupada was laughing.
He's controlling himself.
What Indranil was saying? What's Prabhupada laughing at? He looked at Prabhupada like that. Then he said Prabhupada was looking straight up. So he said, what's Prabhupada looking at? Then he said Prabhupada looking at the movie. Prabhupada was looking at a Charlie Chaplin movie. Now, most of you from India may not know Charlie Chaplin. What is it?
Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin, yeah. Charlie Chaplin was in the days of the, what is it? No sound.
Yeah.
In the early 1920s, when movies, movie industry was beginning, it was just like there was no sound. So Charlie Chaplin is two very very hilarious kind of persons who did all kinds of very simple, innocent things, but very, very funny. And I won't tell the story that Prabhupada was looking at, so yeah, Srila Prabhupada was at that time. I mean, he brought together, for example, here it mentions, the moon, the sun, the rainbow. What else? Stars
Lightning.
and lightning and rainbow. They don't come at the same time.
Not one.
Huh?
Rainbows.
Yeah. Rainbow. The rainbow, the rainbows. Yeah, even more so. I mean, we're lucky to see one rainbow, but you never see more than one rainbow.
And it was this dhoti that appeared like a rainbow, this yellow garment.
Yellow garments also, yes. My point. Yeah, right. Yeah, all of that together. One time, what devotee was telling, if it wasn't for Prabhupada, I would have never worked with this person. I would have never, I would have not joined this movement. It was only because Prabhupada was there, that I'll serve with him or I'll whatever. In other words, Prabhupada brought all kinds of personalities who normally would never speak to one another. Because we all have different natures, We're all, in the material world, the vast majority are Baddha Jeev. We're affected, influenced by the gunas. And some gunas just don't click with other gunas. Yeah, right. But Prabhupada, he brought all of this together. It was like a miracle. And only he could do that. Only a pure devotee could do that, to take up the task at hand. The task at hand was what? To challenge Kali. And where's the best place, the most strategic place to challenge Kali? New York City. Yeah, the personification of Kali. And the big cities in the world, and New York always wants to be number one. Who's from America here?
No.
You.
We spent a lot of time in New York.
Yes. But America wants, always has that kind of like mood and mentality to be number one. So New York was number one in terms of, the agents of Kali at work. So Prabhupada wanted to completely change that from being number one in terms of degradation to being number one in terms of Krishna consciousness. So that was Prabhupada's, in many ways, boldness, his and his conviction. Let me go to that place. Prabhupada came from the most elevated spiritual place, most elevated place, right? And he came to the most fallen place in New York and made miracles there, of course, by registering the ISKCON society, and so many people became devotees, are still becoming devotees, and he did the same thing all over the world. So what may appear to be impossible, just like, it's practically impossible to get out of the material world. It's practically impossible to, to to defeat Maya. And actually it is impossible if we take ordinary tools or means. It becomes possible when we follow Krishna, when we follow, when we, yeah, when we take shelter of Krishna's, we were reading that, I think, previously, how Krishna, um, he is, I forget the word that was used, exceptional or extraordinary, um, because when he comes in the material world, he remains as he is, totally spirit, totally unaffected by the modes of material nature. And the same thing can happen to us. The same thing is meant to happen to any jiva in the material world, who, although influenced by these modes of material nature, by taking more and more association, more and more shelter of the Daivi Prakriti of Krishna's energy, also becomes protected like Krishna. Krishna is not protected, but unaffected rather by the. So even devotees, and that was Prabhupada's, full conviction, and therefore he would send even very young devotees who had been practicing for a very short time. He would send them to other major cities in the world, like Tokyo and whatnot, to introduce and spread Krishna consciousness. So that same mood and mentality actually is meant to be sustained or revived in places where it's maybe not present, in terms of introducing ultimately Krishna consciousness. And we get a little glimpse here in the nice poetic manner in which Krishna's entrance into Dvārakā is nicely being described. Yeah. Since we have a good number of devotees here, some of you might like to share or ask some questions on this or share something. Yes.
Thank you very much. I was wondering why Srila Prabhupada saw a movie of Charlie Chaplin, and today I got the answer, because he quote that movie. He told that story to the devotee he sent to UK to develop Krishna consciousness. So they say, Prabhupada,
Yeah.
how can we start? How can we start? What to do there? He said, just be enthusiastic, then go. Usaha. He was talking about Usaha.
Utsaha, yes.
And devotee asked how to be enthusiastic. Do like Charlie Chaplin. And then
Okay, it's not finished yet.
yes, and then he gave the story of Charlie Chaplin. So they were in a bar. They are taking fools.
Okay. It was a dance. It was called a ball.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Bar is different.
Okay.
Yeah, ball.
Ball.
A dance ball is a place where people traditionally, you go to a place for dancing, and that particular, I'll let you tell the story.
Okay,
No, I'll let you tell the story. But people were dressed in a particular way with what was called long tail.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah, you can continue.
And then Charlie Chaplin, he went to the toilet, and when he turning back, he understand that all the people there are looking to him very strangely. So he was observing himself, and he found that he has his pant has a hole
Torn.
there.
It was, yeah, it was,
Yeah, yeah. So when he saw that, he said, "Oh, it's okay." So he go again to the toilet, but when returning back, he make well the hole bigger,
yeah,
bigger hole. And then when he came back, he was dancing. So everybody was seeing him. And one person start, he get up, and then he make a hole for his mouth also, and started dancing. And within a couple of minutes, everybody just
yes. That was a movie Prabhupada was watching,
Yeah,
Charlie
yeah.
Chaplin, you know. And so that's a very important point, a very nice point, that he told the devotees in UK, you become different. In other words, you become different. And actually at that time, who is it? Shamasundar. The devotees shaved up. They had not shaved up. They shaved up, and it's like, you become really different. And they attracted so many people who became devotees, actually. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's in relation with devotees. They had some doubts about the Vaishnava dress in London.
Oh, okay.
But Indra Swami, when that whole pastime happened, that Prabhupada was watching the movie,
Right.
and then he asked, Prabhupada, very humbly, because you tell us not to watch, and I could see you were watching and laughing.
Yes.
Obviously, Prabhupada's not in Maya, so what's going on?
Right.
So, and then Prabhupada says, you could see that Charlie Chaplin is very innovative.
Innovative.
And innovation is a quality of Krishna.
Yes.
So Prabhupada was saying, he was seeing Krishna's potential.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice point. Yeah. Yes. Actually, one time Prabhupada was mentioning how we should be, what is it? Taxing our brains, how to spread Krishna consciousness. We should be, in other words, finding new ways means innovative. So Charlie Chaplin, in that, although it was an accident that his suit got torn, he took it as an opportunity to just, he became enthusiastic and everyone followed him. So when we become enthusiastic and innovative, actually by being enthusiastic, Krishna helps us, gives us, actually, he reciprocates, he gives different intuition. That's nicely explained, actually, both in the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. Dadami buddhi yogam tam, isn't it? When we are endeavoring to engage nicely, tesam satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. And in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. When we're engaged in activities, sincerely endeavoring, then vijnanam, this vijnan, Krishna gives us the intelligence, helps us to understand so many things about Krishna consciousness, and in particular also how to find new ways to introduce and spread Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of a picture of Srila Prabhupada when he first came back to India. He's with Kirtananda, and Kirtananda is wearing suit and tie.
Yeah.
Prabhupada is dressed in Vaishnava dress.
Right.
And Kirtananda has this big white tilak on his forehead, you know. And devotees sometimes hesitate today to wear tilak. But when I see that picture, I always think how even more striking it is.
Yeah.
To see a person with a full shirt and tie with tilak.
With tilak, yeah, of course. Yeah. It's striking to see devotees dressed as devotees with tilak, but even more striking to see someone dressed in ordinary shirt and pant and whatnot. One devotee, one of my godbrothers, some years back, he he was a president, Uttama Shloka, actually his name. Uttama Shloka Prabhu, he was, I forget, maybe in Chicago or someplace, and he had, he was very active in the early days, and then, you know, he got married and he was working and whatnot. So one day there was a Sankirtan party, you know, coming by, and he happened to be close by, and he was dressed in ordinary. He was working, you know, and whatnot. He's a very good mridanga player. So as soon as he came close to the party, he took the mridanga and started playing. Everybody was watching. You know, ordinary guy, you know, no tila, his job, but he was fully dressed in karmi clothes, and just all of a sudden, it was like he was standing out kind of thing. Yeah.
Actually, there's one purport where Prabhupada talks about the importance of wearing Vaishnava dress and appearing as Vaishnava when preaching. But in the very same purport, in the very same paragraph, he says, but when it is necessary, it is equally good and important to just wear ordinary clothes.
Yes.
Because we are living in the world of demons. And sometimes it may be necessary to not appear so,
Yes.
so
Yes.
obviously.
Yes. So in other words, whenever it is possible, we should be wearing the Vaishnava attire. Otherwise, yeah. Well, you know, in the early days, especially even now, in some countries, you just can't. You can't. You know. But devotees are there, and through maybe Govinda restaurant, prasadam distribution, or in other ways also. Yeah, devotees have found, for example, in the last few years, one of my godbrothers, Satyanarayan Prabhu, who is a BBT, one of the BBT trustees, I believe, and in charge for like Middle East countries, and what they've done, it's difficult to distribute books in some of those countries. So what they do is that they find people like in America or in other countries, especially in America, and distribute in their language. So when they go back to visit, they bring back automatically the books. You know, you don't have to have devotees going in there to distribute books. If you distribute a good number of books to people from those countries who are living in other countries, then they eventually bring the books, and some of them become interested and even become devotees as well, because that's the nature of you know, Sanatan Dharma. It's for everyone. Yeah.
Also, it's a blessing in this sense because many people from the Middle East come into Europe nowadays. The distribution of Arabic books, it increased
okay.
amazingly.
Yeah.
They are like, I mean, also Urdu, it's not really Middle East, but there I work so many Urdu-speaking people.
Okay.
So I have a chance to give some Urdu books.
Okay.
Especially Arabic Farsi, it's amazingly increasing.
Which? Kirtan, book distribution.
Yeah,
yes.
The Arabic books and the books in Farsi. They don't go back, they stay there,
yeah.
but they are very eager to get these books.
Yeah.
They are not really reluctant like the Germans, for example. They see a book, they take it and they are interested.
Okay, right. Yeah. You do book distribution? A little bit.
What shall I say? I mean, I try to find some people.
Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna.
The same like when we first met the Druze in Israel.
Okay. Yes.
You know, this because the devotees, they were preaching, and in Israel, the Israelites, they're either, you know, Orthodox Jews or non-religious Jews.
Right.
So it was very difficult, and even though the devotees were there for so long, there was not even a center, nothing.
Right.
Nothing was working out. So after many years, they decided, okay, let's try the Muslims, you know,
right.
in Israel, you know. So they were, and so they started looking at a map, and then they spotted a village, and the village was called Rama. So they decided to go there first.
Wow.
And so this is how we're going to distribute. So they come to this village. It's a small village. There's like nobody. So they decided to stand in the middle of the street, and if there's a car coming, we'll stop the car and try to. So the first car that stops, it shows him the books. Says, these are books that are about how to love God. I know how much.
Nice.
Give a donation. The guy, you have other books, and the guy is speaking Arabic. The devotee is speaking Hebrew, and they somehow they somehow managed to. So he says, yeah, you have it all books. Says, you have all the books, yeah, in my van. So you got all the sets of books in Arabic.
Right.
And so they ask, I mean, the guy said, please, come with me. He's like, well, jump in the car and start driving in the desert, going here, going to this place. And it's like a carpet, like in the Indiana Jones movie, you know, with carpets everywhere and a little shop, you know. And the guy looks at this and he buys all the books too. And the devotees are like baffled because they can't really communicate. They're basically American Jews.
Right.
And so, and eventually the guy pulls out a tape. It was a copy of a copy of a copy
Right.
of a Prabhupada singing.
Oh.
With a Rari the whole tape. The guy was listening to that. And they were like, what? And then somehow they still have problem communicating. So, but he managed to explain, come with us Sunday, we have our big meeting. So there's a bus going, so the devotee goes to the bus, right? And by that time, you know, they bring all the books they can, you know, to go there. The bus driver buys the whole set. They still don't know what's going on.
Right.
And then they go in the middle of the desert, there's this big Druze meeting.
Right.
You know, it's like their kind of like festival or Christmas or something,
Yes.
you know, big meeting. And all the acharyas are there, like the big pope of the Druze is
Right.
there.
Yeah.
And everybody's taking books and everybody's taking books. And eventually, some of the higher up, they were very educated, so they spoke English.
Right.
They were able to communicate. Finally, what's going on here? And
Yes,
he spoke to a Druze.
Yes.
And he said that his guru, like the previous acharya, upon leaving his body,
Right.
he had heard of Prabhupada, and he had given instruction to his basically disciple that you have to find these people and work with them as if from the same blood. They will give us where we have forgotten.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, Danavir Maharaj.
Yeah, I think that's Danavir Maharaj.
Danavir Maharaj was the one who was preaching many years ago. What Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu is relating. He wrote some article, maybe more than one article, explaining that there's a connection with in DKG, yeah, with the Vedic culture. I don't know the details, but there's ultimately it's all connected, you know, and there's a very close connection so that they can relate and they can accept and whatnot, yeah.
Because they're considered by the Muslims to be infidels. They're considered by the Jews and the Christians to be Muslims. So they're kind of like
in between.
Because they also read the Bible, they also read the Torah, you know. But and when they were distributing books, you know, in the village, you know, first, you know, the guy opens the door, no, and then the wife goes, buys the book, and then he walks, and then you hear like some broken verses of the Bhagavad Gita with an Arabic accent. You know?
Right.
And he sees the couple is standing there because that's what they do. They chant the Quran, right? So now they're chanting the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
It comes back 2 hours later, they're still sitting there. Just like all day. They were like, you know. And I was there when they came to Vrindavan in Mayapur. I was in Vrindavan. They took bath in the Yamuna and the whole thing. All the acharyas were there with the big hat.
That's one of many examples of miracles that have taken place and that continue to take place, actually, many of which we are, you know, not knowing or have not heard about so much, etc. like that. We do have to, yeah, thank you very much. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Sri Prabhupada ki Jai Gauda Premanandi
His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj ki.